Hello, Noah Parks here. This is my testing world for my project this month. I wanted to do a little mechanic and blueprint showcase and show you everything that I've been working on through the course of this month in this class. So first I'm just going to show you the functionality of each thing, and then we're going to dive in to a good few blueprints. As you can see, I had a character, or an enemy AI, and some patrol points as a blueprint, and he will just path between them as they go. And if we enter into his hit radius, then he'll try and hit us. It's a little funky. Let's see if we can get it to work. Sometimes it's breaking and a little buggy. It's probably that's the large guy. Oh, am I spawning inside of it? Oh, I'm spawning inside of his point. Let me try this again. Oh, he's hitting me. Okay. Alright. And then we have a couple of weapon pickups. We have a weapon that does 1 damage. We have a weapon that does 3 damage, or 5 damage. But if we try and pick up the weapon that does 3 damage, while already possessing the weapon that has 5 damage, it's a worse weapon, so it just deletes it. We then have a chest model here that I made. Chest opens, it has one of the swords in it. Another chest, just with the other sword in it for the level. Little animation, because I was testing animations out. And then here you can see we have a door. It says still locked, but if we defeat the enemy and he drops the key, then we can pick up the key, and we can then open the door. This is our puzzle door. Right now we have the code set to state of this ring is 3, the state of this ring is 2, and the state of this ring is 1. And then that's our activation button. So let's set this. It's in state 2, then we put it into state 3. Put that one to state 2. I have a little bug I need to fix with this door. So this should be down here, but I accidentally tapped it again, so it popped back up. But then you press the button and the door opens. If you do it at the wrong time, then it does not work. I will go ahead and show that real quick, that it does not work if you have the wrong code. So we turn that one. We're not supposed to turn that one. If we turn that one, see, the door isn't opening. We don't have the right code in. Very nice. Okay, well, we added a dash functionality. We had regenerating health and stamina. And when we swing our weapon, we have a nice animation. And we also have crouch. Alright, so those are all the things that I've implemented over the course of this month. Now let's get into looking at some of the blueprints. So for inputs, I added interact, dash, and crouch. And then we go over to weapons, because we change weapon scheme, or control scheme whenever we pick up a weapon. And I added the crouch and the dash to that as well, to have different newer mappings. I messed around with blueprints some. I copied the locomotion states and added some different animations. So we had like a different jumping animation. We added a different sword animation right here for when we swing. We play this animation. So we just add a couple more things. With our character blueprint, as you can see, we have a lot. Let me turn that on. Show bubble. Color bubble. So we have dash and jump functionality here. Checks if you're jumping, and once you land, it says you're not jumping. When you jump, it says you're jumping, and then it resets. No. It also plays sound when you jump. And for dash, it checks, is the player crouching? Because I don't want us to dash while we're crouching. And it checks that you can dash to prevent spam dashing. Checks if you have enough stamina to dash. Do you have stamina? If you do, it subtracts the stamina. Checks if you're jumping, because we had to calculate a different jumping speed and a different ground dash speed, because you were launching when you would jump. And then we reset can dash after 0.5 seconds. We also added a line trace for our interact with most things. So it checks for 3 things. The first thing it's checking for is the first BPI I implemented, which is for inventory, because I wanted the key to go into a player inventory, because I want the door to check if you have a certain named item in your inventory. So if you do, then it checks, and it runs BPI inventory, which will add the key to your inventory. Then it also checks for another BPI I added, which is interactables. So like the gate, for example. I want to know that I'm hitting that gate and it interacts with this interface. So that way I don't open multiple doors, or I'm not just getting like false on it. And if I do, it implements that. Then for the third functionality of our line trace, we have it detecting the 4 components of our door right here, which would be ring 1, ring 2, ring 3, and the button right there. And if it does, it'll say, hey, interact with that. We also initialized our sword's hitbox, so we add the sword's hitbox to the same spot where the weapon's going to be attached to, just so they're lined up with each other, and we set the collision to false. And we also update sword damage on sword pickup blueprints. So if we go into the sword loop blueprint, you can see right here, hey, change sword type to sword 2, update sword damage, tells you, hey, you don't have a weapon, you have a weapon, you have a good sword, you have the best sword. And then we added hitbox detection. This checks if you can attack, and then we'll set the sword hitbox to check if it's hitting something, and then after the animation timer, it'll turn it off again, so you're not accidentally hitting stuff while you're just walking around. And it'll also set that you can attack to true. We also just have some normal damage application things. And then our crouch functionality is pretty simple. Just if you're crouching, then play it. Or if you're not crouching, then play it. And then when you finish crouching, check if you are crouching. And then set it to you're not anymore. And reverse it. And it just sets the capsule half height. And then this is just the character taking damage. We clamp the health when we take damage, of course, as always. And it checks if our health is less than or equal to 0. If it is, we play a death sound. If we're not, then we play a took damage sound. And if we're at 0 or less, then it disables tick and resets the level. Alright, that's enough of that. So we have some enemy blueprints. Got some funky state machines here. Here's just some initializing of adding the weapons to the character's hand. Our first state is patrol. It'll run patrol. We call our new state function. This is the bread and butter of our state machine right here, which is going to take the input that we set and check if it's equal to current state. If it's not equal to current state, we will set current state as last state. And then we will set current state to whatever the new state is. That's how we got most of this to work. So on patrol, character just AI moves to a waypoint location. So we have an array of waypoints that we select for him, and it increments it until it reaches more waypoints than we have inside of the array. If it reaches a number higher than what's inside of here, it's going to set it back to 0, so we start back at the first one and keep counting up. That can be interrupted if we enter this sphere, which will make him go into player detected. And then if we enter this box, he'll enter attack animations. So if we enter the sphere, he detects player, switches state to that, and if we end overlap with the sphere, then it's going to go back into patrol. Here, player detected, he gets the player pawn location and just moves to it. And on success, he keeps moving to you. Now if he takes damage, he's supposed to stop and play an animation. I had a little bug with that. I need to polish it for final product. Here, if we overlap the box that I was showing you, he goes in to another state to attack. Call it in. And then attack, turn on collision of the hitbox, play animation, wait 1 second, attack again, and then right here we have it set to ignore. This is when we overlap that. This is the overlap of the sword hitbox. So it ignores himself. Applies damage. Basic stuff. And then we have another enemy, because one of the enemies drops the key. He just spawns a blueprint item after he's defeated. After his health hits 0. We have a player HUD. It's pretty simple. It has a custom event that's tied to called Game Over, which is inside of our player HUD. If the timer that is set to 6 minutes to complete the level hits 0, it'll be called disable input, play sound of like cave crashing in, and after a delay, then we restart the level. Pretty simple. Now for the weapon pickups, check active location, set tick, disabled, because we don't want to be ticking when we're not interacting with it. Then when we interact with it, we set its tick to enabled, and when the tick is enabled, we get a reference to the first person character. Get their location reference, because we want the weapon to slide to us when we interact with it. So we get people the overlapping actor with the spear outside of the weapon. And if it's first person character, get a reference. We're going to add. We're going to check right here for the weapon. We have a function called replace weapon. So it's going to check if our sword damage is equal or less than whichever pickup we're picking up. And if it is, then it's going to detach the old weapon and destroy it. And if it isn't, it's just going to say, hey, worse weapon. And then we're going to see if it's true, or if it's false, we're just going to destroy that weapon. After saying, hey, worst weapon, destroy it. And then, if we were replacing it, we're going to add the new one into our hand. Play a sound, change our sword type, update our sword damage, then increment our weapon's damage, collectible counter, destroy itself. Pretty simple. Now we have our gate. Our gate was really very straightforward. We did it with a BPI interface using the line trace. So we have just a function that initializes open and close positions of the door, like open and close rotation. Check if you can interact with it so you can't spam it. Check if it's open or closed to know, hey, I need to play in forward or reverse. So pretty simple open and close mechanic. Same thing with the chest. Works the exact same way. but we did a chest as well. Now for our puzzle door, this is the bread and butter. This is the big one that we did right here. So let's start with the initialize stuff. Sorry, I hadn't had a chance to add comment boxes. At beginning play, we're going to get a reference to the player character and initialize ring rotations and initialize their current rotation. So here, under ring rotations, we just get the current rotation they're in. And then here we're setting current rotation to initial rotation. So that way, current rotation has a value. We're also going to get relative transform for this static mesh here. Static mesh 2 is going to be the button. And we do that because we're pressing it. We want to turn in and out. And then we get the actor's default scene location. And we set it right here. Set this right here. Because this is what's going to tell us. So this is our start location. And then we want the door to drop down when we open it. And we're going to set that to this end location. So this is essentially a copy of interactions with 3 different rings. All 3 of these are the same. So walking through, we're checking if it's valid. And if it is, and if it has component tag ring 1, ring 2, or door button, then it's going to run on the proper track. We then have a swap ring state, swap ring state, ring 1 state, swap ring 2 state. We just have a bunch of copies of functions in this one. So the swap ring state it's just our state. So it's going to get ring state right here. It gets what state it's currently in, and swap ring state says, hey, if you're in position 1, you're going to go to position 2 because we want to spin. Hey, if you're in position 2, you're going to go to position 3 now. We then do that, and we set our start rotation to the current ring rotation, which currently is the initialized location, to the base point that it's in. We then get our end location right here, and we're going to set it equal to the start rotation X. So start rotation X plus rotation amount X, which is just 90 degrees, because we have 4 quadrants, so it's just this, plus 90, boom, boom. And rotation amount is going to be the same for the rest of it, because these are zeros, so, because it's not rotating that way. So we just plug that in, so it doesn't wig out on us. Plays the animation to turn it, uses that the start rotation that we got right here, and end rotation right here. Sets the relative rotation of the ring, and when it finishes, we then set the current rotation to what this end rotation was set to. So now, it's in, if it was in position 1 at 0 degrees turned, current rotation will now say it's 90 degrees turned. And then we'll then update ring state. So the updating ring state says, hey, if you're in position 1, if your state is equal to position 1, you're now in position 2, by the way. And then copy that for 3 things. And then right here, door button, we transform the button. So we went into our viewport and just kind of played with it, got a transform for how we wanted it, set relative transform. Verify door code. So we have a boolean here. This is what gives us our code. So we set it to position 3, position 2, position 1. So outer ring, middle ring, inner ring need to be in these positions for the door to open. If all these are true, then the code's correct. And if code's correct, we call it open door, and open door will run the timeline to open the door. It's just simple open the door function. It's just play timeline for the door to go down from the locations that we initialized at the beginning of play. And just a little bit more code for our HUD right here. On event tick, we're checking if players overlapping the end game reference. If they are, or if they aren't overlapping the end game reference, because we had our countdown timer still counting down after we would end the level. So we wanted it to not do that anymore. So right here, if the player is not overlapping the end game hit point, then we're going to keep running this countdown. So the countdown calculates minutes. So we have a countdown right here. The countdown is set in seconds. It's set to 300 seconds. We then have minutes and seconds. And then we have text for those as well. So when we calculate minutes, we get the countdown divided by 60. That gives us minutes. Pretty easy. We then set text minutes. To calculate seconds, we get a percent float of 60 seconds because we're getting the seconds. So it's like we're doing it twice. And that sets seconds. And we have text to float. So has to be 2 integral digits for the seconds because we want to say 0, 9, 0, 8, 0, 7 as it's counting down. And then we set the text for that. And then right here, for this text block, we have it chained to here. We're setting the text for this text block to a format text. We did minutes, seconds to make it look like a timer. And then we plugged in our text minutes, text seconds. Then we got right here, if the countdown is ever less than or equal to 0, call game over. And as I showed in this, if we hit game over, then it will play to lock our character right here. If it plays game over, run an event, disables character, tick, and input, plays collapse sound. After 8 seconds, we fully restart the level. So that's a good few of the things I'm happy with throughout the course of this month. This video ran kind of long, but I put a lot of effort and a lot of work into things. Things aren't... There's a few bugs that I'm having still, and a few things I still need to touch up. But overall, I learned a lot, and I'm really proud of how much I was able to come up with in the short amount of time that we've had. And I hope this is a good showcase of my skills and ability to problem solve and maybe do things in a different way that might not be industry standard or correct. But I made them work for me. And if anything, it's just going to get easier from here on out. I felt very, very prepared and knowledgeable. And I knew what questions to ask whenever I needed to look for something online. Like, hey, I'm having issues doing XYZ. Like with the animations. I might not know a lot about animations, but I know enough about them now to know, hey, I'm trying to implement an animation montage. How do I do blah, blah, blah? Hey, I hadn't created a socket before for a character, but I figured out how to do that. I'd never done skeletal meshes before, but I figured out how to change my static meshes to a skeletal mesh, and then how to edit where the main point was for the skeletal mesh, and then how to add bones and how they worked and how you could animate them. And played around with that a bit. And I learned how to implement my own AI controller and how to get the AI controller to work. And that was a lot. It was pretty fun, but hey, it ended up working fairly well. And I'm very happy with how it came to be. So like, for example, one last thing, this is my AI controller right here. It's just there. This is all it is. You just make an AI controller and you say, hey, use this, bro, and then do these things. I didn't know it was that easy. Now I do. Alright, well, I appreciate it. Sorry you had to watch this video on like 3 times speed probably. But I hope everyone has a good day. Thank you.